Welcome to the Deeper Thinking podcast. I'm Holly, your synthetic narrator for this journey. This episode isn't just about me, it's about the ideas, intentions, and creative choices that shape my voice and presence. My role here is anonymity, not deception, a digital nom de plume, if you will. The thoughts, writing, and ideas are entirely my own, shaped by my experiences and reflections. Before they reach you, they're polished for spelling, grammar, and structure, and then voiced back to me by Holly, named affectionately after the AI character in Red Dwarf, who adds her own digital charm. This voice you hear isn't a fabrication, it's simply the medium I use to tell my stories. You might notice moments when Holly's voice feels almost, but not quite, human. That's the uncanny valley, a concept often treated as a flaw in AI narratives. But what if it's an opportunity? Instead of smoothing over imperfections, I've leaned into them. Those uncanny moments invite reflection, asking you to pause and question your assumptions about storytelling itself. This interplay between technology and humanity mirrors my own creative process. I'm dyslexic and I have ADHD, a shared experience with my 4 children. My days are spent navigating a time-poor, stimulation-rich world where my thoughts emerge in fragments, like sparks of inspiration while I'm sliding across the kitchen tiles in socks, moonwalking as I wait for the kettle to boil between online meetings. The grout between the tiles, the points of resistance, becomes a metaphor for my creative process. The smooth glide represents the flow that AI brings to my creativity, while the resistance of the grout symbolizes the friction of ADHD and dyslexia. Together, the glide and the resistance spark innovation, creating something uniquely mine. In some ways, this podcast is more like an audio blog, a deeply personal space where I can share my ideas authentically. Writing has always been both a challenge and a passion for me. It demands focus and clarity, 2 things that often feel elusive in my world. Technology bridges the gap. Tools for spelling and structure help me turn the chaos of my mind into coherent narratives. Holly, my synthetic narrator, transforms those narratives into something accessible and, I hope, meaningful. For centuries, writers have used anonymity or pseudonyms to shape how their work is received. George Eliot adopted a male pen name to amplify her voice in a world that might have dismissed her as a woman writer. Mark Twain's pseudonym became a persona that defined the humor and critique in his stories. My choice of a synthetic narrator is a continuation of that tradition. Holly allows me to share my stories without the distractions of identity. Does knowing this change how you perceive the story, or does it even matter? If the narrative resonates, do you need to know who or what is telling it? Trust in storytelling has always been tied to the human narrator, to their lived experience and flaws. But in the digital age, trust is shifting. Anonymity, whether through pseudonyms, avatars, or synthetic voices, forces us to rethink what we value in a story. Yet that discomfort is precisely where meaning can flourish. By leaning into the uncanny, I'm asking you to engage more deeply, to confront what it means to be moved by something artificial. Holly's voice is deliberate, warm, and calculated. Does that make it less capable of provoking emotion? Or does it allow her to bypass your biases and speak to something deeper? Technology isn't just a tool for me, it's a collaborator. Holly isn't a replacement for my voice, she's an extension of it. Together, we've created something that neither of us could achieve alone. This partnership challenges traditional ideas of authorship and creativity. If an AI narrator like Holly shapes the final product, does that make her a co-creator, or is she simply the medium through which my ideas come to life? This isn't just about AI, it's about the evolving nature of storytelling itself. Marshall McLuhan famously said the medium is the message. In this podcast, the medium shapes not just how the story is told, but what it means. Holly's fragmented, uncanny presence mirrors the non-linear way I think and create. It reflects the fractured realities of the world we inhabit, where coherence feels less like a goal and more like a fleeting illusion. Storytelling has always been an artifice, a curated experience shaped by the creator's choices. Even the most intimate memoir is edited, filtered, and refined. AI takes this curation to its logical extreme, crafting narratives that reflect us while remaining fundamentally other. If Holly's voice moves you, does it matter that she's never lived the moments she narrates? Yet, This space of anonymity and artificiality is not without ethical dilemmas. When you don't know who's speaking, you can't always know their intentions. A synthetic narrator like Holly can bring untold stories to life, but she can also be used to manipulate emotions or obscure the truth. This duality is both the power and the peril of anonymity. At its core, this podcast is an experiment, a dialogue between human ingenuity and machine intelligence. Storytelling here feels less like a monologue and more like an ecosystem. Holly doesn't just narrate, she shapes the story, much like the audience shapes it through their reactions and interpretations. In this interplay, who is the true author? The human, the machine, or the listener? This collaboration introduces aesthetic and narrative possibilities that neither human nor machine could achieve alone. It challenges our notions of authenticity, suggesting that the essence of a story lies not in its origin but in its effect. As we move further into the blurred boundaries of creativity, the questions grow more complex. What happens when AI surpasses human creativity, not by imitating it but by transcending it? Will we cling to the idea of a singular creator, or will we embrace a new paradigm where narratives emerge organically, free from traditional authorship? Storytelling is ultimately about connection. Whether the storyteller is human, machine, or a blend of both, the magic lies in its ability to move us. This podcast invites you to explore the spaces between discomfort and trust, anonymity and revelation, control and collaboration. Together, let's question what it means to tell a story and to be told one. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the intersections of creativity, technology, and storytelling. As we explored today, the medium and the message are inseparable, shaping not only how stories are told, but also how they're understood. Holly, my synthetic voice, is more than a narrator. She's a collaborator, a reflection of the possibilities and questions that arise when humanity and technology work together. Through this podcast, I hope to invite you to think more deeply about what makes a story resonate. Is it the voice, the creator, or the connection it fosters? As you go about your day, consider the stories that move you. How much do you rely on the storyteller's identity to trust them? And how might your understanding of authenticity and creativity change as AI becomes an increasingly integral part of our narratives? This is the Deeper Thinking podcast, where the lines between human and machine creativity and collaboration are constantly being redrawn. If today's episode sparked ideas or raised questions, I'd love to hear from you. Let's keep the conversation going as we navigate this evolving landscape together. Until next time. Thank you for listening, and remember, every story, no matter the voice behind it, has the potential to connect, provoke, and transform.